What you're trying to say is it's feature presentation time.
Oh, I was like, I thought you had a clip. Or like
Yeah.
it's feature presentation time. Better. That really went a little nuts with the drum.
I was trying to get a new sound effect that was related to the movie, and I don't know where that one came from. I was looking up like mushroom sounds,
Oh,
and that didn't sound like a mushroom.
it's a mushroom sound.
Yeah, I don't know. Like trip. I was like looking up like trippy music, but
Oh, okay.
landed on a splat. So, welcome to our YouTube audience. If you are a podcast listener, you can see what we look like, which is really relevant to this
So
episode.
relevant. Oh no.
And if you are a YouTube listener, you can hear some additional content by finding the podcast. So
Woo.
make sure to keep those YouTube comments coming.
So many comments.
Yeah. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. We do have a few new subscribers, so
Woo.
that's exciting.
I subscribed 45 times
There you go.
under different
yeah.
emails.
That accounts for most of it then. Yeah, so each week we watch something new and then decide if we want more. This week we are watching another movie. I would say, unfortunately, it's just like the gimmick for the show podcast works best if you can just like decide whether to keep watching
Yeah.
a show or not. But regardless, we've been
Time travel. It could be time travel something.
yeah. I mean, like this movie totally fits in with our tastes and has a sci-fi, like a low stakes sci-fi premise. And I was really excited to see this. It came out in theaters in September, I think, for a few weeks, or at least like I saw it playing a few places around here, but didn't get to see it in theaters. So now that it's on Prime, and I think it's pretty popular, I'm sure a lot of people are watching this movie called My Old Ass on Prime, which Ashley is about to set up our discussion with a provocative question about.
Wait, you only give me one homework assignment, and I have that one.
No, this one is just your standing homework.
Um,
You better have one because I didn't really come up. I didn't really do
you better have one.
your work for you this week.
Oh, but you always do my work for me. Do you want to meet your younger self?
Yeah, if you could meet your younger self, what would you tell them?
Yeah.
All right, that works. Here we go.
Thanks.
I thought I'd be happier at 40.
You are happy, and I'm not 40, asshole.
You don't look happy. I feel like you're having a midlife crisis.
Well, I feel like you're high on mushrooms, so you don't know shit.
To Elliot.
No, not the whole bag.
May you experience a new level of consciousness tonight.
Oh my God. Are you guys tripping? I don't feel anything.
That's because we don't tolerate drugs well. Hey, freak.
Who are you?
Elliot. Dude, I'm you.
You're me.
What's up?
What's up?
Hard cut.
She's the
All
best.
right, so yeah, we got Aubrey Plaza and Maisy Stella as the two sides of
Elliots.
the same coin. Yeah.
I also really like the name Elliot for a girl. Just, it's really
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah. I want to just start with like the your main reaction to the movie, but that does like remind me of one question I had watching this. Like, Aubrey Plaza, like, is this set in present day or not?
Oh.
It's a little bit of a
No.
timeless like setting.
I don't think it's set in present day because, oh shoot, I don't know. Great question.
The gimmick of the movie that was mostly explained in the trailer is we start off on like a high school senior age, or someone that's about to go off to college age character trying to figure things out, or just like having one last like fun trip with her friends, literally, and her older self appears to her. But the setting of the movie, this like her family farm, sort of like the music, the references, there are cell
day.
phones and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I was just trying to
but
think of like Aubrey Plaza's like characters outfit and how she like acted, but it seemed like pretty normal as well. So I don't know. It wasn't like
Yeah.
40
Well, how
years.
much? So she's 39 and this character is 18.
Yeah. So 21
Okay.
years.
So 20 years, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just kind of assuming that Aubrey Plaza is coming from 20 years in the future of today's
Yeah.
date.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not
And-
that long.
No, it's not that long, but a lot could happen in the next 20 years
Yeah.
to like
That's
the
true.
world. And I do want to talk about if there's any like little Easter eggs or clues about what's happening in the future in the movie. But most importantly, I thought what was so interesting about this movie is how they're able to like pull off a pretty high concept. It's not a body swap movie like 13 going on 30 where you switch with your older self and you learn lessons, and it's not exactly a time travel movie, but in ways it's the low tech version of both of those. She takes mushrooms and she, for all intents and purposes, literally like sees her older self. Did you interpret it like we should believe everything she's hearing about her life from her older self, or is it all in her head? Like, how much sci-fi did you attach to this
A
premise?
lot. I believe.
Okay.
And I think that's like what you want to do, right? You want to get kind of
Yeah.
lost in it. Yeah, I wasn't trying to like fact check, be like, oh, maybe she's not. And I was like, no, that's her. That's definitely her. They look very different. That's her.
Yeah, well, in like, so the drugs wear off,
Mm-hmm.
as they do, and she can still text,
Which is
with her
that's
older
wild
self.
to me.
Yeah,
I thought she
yeah.
just had to like be tripping every time she saw her, and I was like, this is gonna get interesting.
Yeah, I didn't really. So 90% of the movie, well, 100% of the movie takes place in young Elliot's timeline. Eventually, Aubrey Plaza does show up like in person near the end, but mostly it's just young Elliot's story with a little bit of like insight from her older self. So it was a way to just basically put a new spin on a coming of age story, a type of story that I love, coming of age, young romance. But they put this like sci-fi concept that doesn't require like a machine or like
Right.
any kind of weird, future tech. It's just like dead simple. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're laying in bed, like talking to each other.
Are you gonna play a clip?
No.
Oh, okay, clip it. I was gonna say, yeah, unlike Time Cut, which I started watching.
Yeah.
Did you finish Time Cut? Because that's like really futuristic, and they have all that crazy equipment.
Well, yeah, exactly. So did It's What's Inside. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Time Cut was the renderings of the technology was so half-assed and so
I know.
horrible looking, and I can't believe you didn't bring this up during previously on.
Well,
but-
because I was just gonna relate it to this movie because it's also
Yeah.
kind of time traveling, but I do have to say it's very bad, and I stopped watching it, and it's like Pretty Little Liars, but bad, really bad.
yeah, there were like
And
one.
you finished it, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I finished it, but what was supposed to be fun about Time Cut is that all of a sudden you're back in 2003, which is a important time. It's when I was graduating high school, and the references and stuff were funny for a second. And
Yeah.
when they walk into her older dead sister's room, there's like a big Buffy poster
Oh,
on
I
the
knew.
wall.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, Drew's gonna like this one spot.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
And
cool.
I mean, but like they're all carrying like different types of like cheesy looking Walkmans and like CD players.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it's like
it's
that wasn't even ubiquitous in like high schools at
No.
that time by any means. Like people might have had iPods.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So, and then the music cues were really generic or obvious, and
Yeah.
just
Anyway.
nothing about that movie worked.
Back to my old ass. I just wanted
Yes.
to, for a second, just tell you I saw a little bit of it, and I was like, ooh. But did you have a question, or we just like segued pretty hard?
Well, the question was, what did you think of the sci-fi like component?
Oh.
Like just
I liked it. I think if they had gone like more tech savvy, it would have looked cheesy. And I don't
Yeah.
think Aubrey Plaza does it really well. To where, like, you don't need all that stuff. Like in Safety Not Guaranteed, which I really liked. Very similar. And she's just such a good. I wanted more Aubrey Plaza. I was bummed that she wasn't in the movie more.
Her performance was a little weird. It wasn't her normal kind of like. Sorry, I didn't feel like her character had much to do. It was actually she was playing it really straight and really like genuine from an emotional standpoint, and she's so good at kind of the darkly cynical, sarcastic characters. It was her role in this one to be like the nostalgic, earnest character, and that it's not like she did a bad job, but I was not very interested in her.
You wanted her to be more funny.
Half of the story, yeah.
Yeah, she did make me cry though. I like blubbered, cried.
Yeah, I know where.
It's pretty bad
at the end.
Yeah, I couldn't help it.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'll just say up front, yeah, I loved this movie. I loved how they found a creative way, whether you want to look at it through the coming of age angle or the romance angle. They found a really creative way to build tension with the central relationship. So we're going to give our young selves a piece of advice in a minute, but what is this kind of, you want to explain the setup for this movie from the romance angle?
Sure.
Yeah.
Just really quickly. So when she's tripping, Aubrey Plaza's character, old Elliot, tells young Elliot one piece of advice, and the only piece of advice she says is stay away from Chad. And so immediately you're like, oh, Chad's probably an asshole because like the name and the connotation comes with that. You can't really help. That's like obviously on purpose in this movie. And then she meets Chad, who's like this like really sweet guy who's like working on her parents' farm, and his grandparents also owned a farm, and so he wants to be closer to his grandparent. Very sweet, wonderful human being. And you're like, well, what could he do wrong? Like I'm gonna cry again just talking about it. But you find out that Chad does nothing wrong. He just passes away somehow. So.
Oh well, yeah, he just jumped right into it.
Well, that's what happens. It's really sad.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you before you spoiled it, but that's fine.
Sorry.
Well, no. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like that is what happened. But what I was getting a little annoyed with the movie, or like preparing to be annoyed with the movie, if he had assaulted her, or if he had,
he's
just
like
been
asshole. Yeah.
Yeah, immature and like hurt her in some way, intentionally.
Yeah.
But I wrote down in my notes. I'm gonna go ahead and say I guessed it. Pretty close to when it was revealed. And I wasn't even 100% sure they were going to reveal it, or that he got her pregnant and then she realized she was actually, not into guys. Yada, yada. But what was your journey with like wondering what he did?
Well, after I met him, I was like, he can't do any wrong. So I was like, something happens to him that's like uncontrollable.
Yeah.
So
I was so curious. So this is a Percy Hines White, and he's been, mostly he was on Wednesday. That's
what he's from. Okay.
Yeah, if you recognize, like, this is the first real role as far as like what I could see in Google Images where he looks like a man.
Yeah.
He still looks like a very young, young man, and like has these delicate features. But he looks like a kid in all of his other roles, and an awkward, weird looking kid. And he has sort of like the bone structure of like a Shaun White or like a skater dude, the stringy hair. He's just the gangly body. Like it's a real awkward physical presence.
He's built like I was.
Yeah. Both of us to some degree. So you were just immediately caught up in his like weird skater energy the whole time, or however you want to describe it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was like, oh, he's so attractive. I was like, he's just really sweet and genuine. And I was like, oh, I really hope he's like something doesn't happen to him. And I was like, of course it's going to, because
But also goofy. Like,
yeah, he's kind of awkward.
Yeah,
awkward really
is a good word for it.
He was very sweet.
Yeah, and again, like, so this was the most acceptable answer to that question. I mean, like, as far as why she would tell her young self to stay away from him. But what I was getting at with that setup is that we've talked about so many different like rom-coms or romances or movies like this, and they just have to lie to the other character about something dumb just to have a fight, just so they can reconcile. And just this formula, in this case, she has extra information. What Aubrey Plaza chooses to tell her and doesn't choose to tell her, like, and then I will have critiques of this movie at the end, and like just kind of its sappiness and earnestness. But did you agree, first, before we give our own selves, our own young selves advice, did you agree that that was the right thing to do?
No.
Okay. Which I guess is the conclusion that she comes to.
Right. And I think, and I think that because you don't know how long like they were together and all that stuff, and like maybe they do have family. Well, I guess they don't have family. I don't know if they have kids or whatever in the future, but I think to like rob yourself of something that's like your first love or your only love, because you know that something's gonna happen. It's like, I don't think that's, I don't think you should do that. It's not.
Yeah, and that's basically where she lands, is like, you need to. It's not even making mistakes and being dumb. Like some of the other stuff that her younger self does, like spend less time, or she wants her to spend more time with her family. And
that's really sweet.
Yeah, like honestly, the movie was a little unfocused with some of those other things. Like I didn't really get much out of her reconnecting more with her brother or her mom. I mean, like I get it. That's just such an obvious like message. Whereas like the conflict of, if you knew you had to go through something that was going to cause you immense pain, but it is going to be really rewarding. Like we don't know how long he has to live.
Nope.
And they have together, and we don't get any hint as to that, right?
No.
Really.
But I imagine it was a decent amount of time if like it wasn't just like in college. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it was a year. I just you don't really know. And
did she say that she has a wife now?
I thought she said my girlfriend's friend or something.
Well, I think young Elliot is like, tell me about our wife and kids, but because she's still assuming that she's gay and not bi or whatever. Like, I saw a few people critiquing this movie as a straight awakening story, which nobody really, nobody in the queer community needs. But it also felt all the things, like the family stuff and probably even this relationship, felt very much personal to the creator of this movie. I think Megan Park wrote and directed this. And I'm guessing it seems like she drew heavily from either the events or just the emotional realism of her life.
That's what it felt like to me as well. I was like, this came from something.
That's why, like, when it was through the lens of her and Chad's romance, I was like, okay, that's a movie formula, but this is a new way to tell it. If I want the mother stuff, there's Lady Bird for that.
Yeah.
And we'll get to Saoirse Ronan later.
But
like this was a story about her and Chad, so I didn't necessarily need, just the like surface level one conversation with her and her dad, one time her hanging out with her mom. All right. Well, let's go back in time and meet our younger selves, especially you.
Can't wait for these photos.
All right.
I didn't sign off on this to put it on the
Emo
internet.
Ashley. Yeah, she's seeing these for the first time.
Oh, nice. That's fine. That's not terrible.
Yeah, this is what does it say on the date there? This is like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So
11 years ago. Well, yes, almost 11.
Yeah. So
I first moved to Denver almost.
Yeah, that's pretty much when your Instagram started. It looks like.
You went through my nice.
This is young Ashley. What do you want to say to this version of yourself?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. I don't want to say anything cliche, but kind of. I mean, I think cliches exist for a reason. So one of mine I was thinking about was like being patient with your life, because you have a lot of life to live. Because I felt myself like rushing into relationships and rushing into like the next thing and the next thing. It's like, just be patient. Like things will happen for a reason. There's kind of like a path for you, and just kind of like weather the storm when you're going to have to weather some storms, but all in all, life will be really good.
Wow. Sappy.
I'm going to cry again. What would you say? Oh, wait, can I see your younger self?
Yeah, sure.
Is yours less embarrassing? Well, mine wasn't embarrassing. I
No,
thought it was
actually,
going to be like high school.
The most normal one I have is both of us. So let's see here. Just keep moving.
I thought you were going to get some like high school pictures from mom because those would be way more embarrassing.
My Facebook's not active anymore.
Same.
I started that in college. Like I don't have any high school photos. Thank God.
Yeah.
And that was just like pre everything being on social media. So even if I had Facebook, it might not have been on there. So
I forgot that you have like dimples like from the side because you always have facial hair.
yeah. Here's one more of the two of us.
Oh yeah, that's sweet. Splitting your head open.
Yep.
Typical.
All right. Well, no, I tried to take mine more in the spirit of the movie.
Okay.
Yours is good advice. Like yours is, I think, how you would answer this question if you were at like a work seminar. And
Oh,
they put you on the
okay.
spot.
Yeah.
But in the spirit of the movie, I was trying to just give myself like one action to do differently or one.
Invest in Bitcoin.
Yeah, that would. I mean, I could have gone funny, but just from a realistic standpoint, I went to somewhere between 6 and 8 colleges growing up.
You went to 2.
No. I went to like 4
Community
different community colleges.
Oh.
Longwood.
PDA. Wise.
Yeah. So,
Forgot community college.
I would have just picked a college, like committed to it. Whether it was film school, I thought about telling my young self to go all in on film school, but I'm not really sure that would have stuck at the time or led to anything. So I would have just like picked a university, not messed around with like 12 different community colleges, and then it would have been interesting to form friends over the course, like form ties over the course of like 4 years, hopefully not 8 again. And then get started on my adult path a lot sooner. I just feel like I was really dragging out my kind of the most pointless and unfruitful time in my life unnecessarily. So who knows? The reason this question is provocative in every time travel movie is if you're mostly happy with where you are now, then you don't want to cause this butterfly effect. But in reality, like that was just a huge waste of time, resources, just an excuse to dwell. And like, it's one thing to be immature in high school. It's another thing to be immature for like a decade of your
40
life.
years. Just kidding.
Yeah. So anyway, I would have picked
That's a
a
good
college, a university,
Picked a
gone there for
college.
4 years, finished up.
I would have. Oh, I have advice for other people.
Okay.
Also, maybe probably my younger self. Don't go into college in a relationship.
Okay.
I dated throughout all of college, and I feel like I wish I hadn't done that. But you learn.
There you go.
From all relationships.
Well, that's actually good advice for Elliot because coincidentally, Chad is going to the same university that she's
Toronto.
going to go to. Where is this movie set?
Great question. No idea. Is it in New York or
Northeast?
something?
Yeah, it must be like a farm in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Where do they grow cranberries?
I don't know.
Yeah, but she's leaving the family farm to go to school in Toronto. He's in his first year. I assume that's how they get around any weirdness from an age gap standpoint.
Yeah.
Like he's 19, she's 18 or something like that. And I don't know, did anything everything about their like courtship and about the romance kind of worked for you?
Yeah, I thought it was sweet because she was trying to listen to her older self, but
Yeah.
like inevitably it's going to happen. That's just, when it's meant to be.
Yeah, and her older self obviously didn't tell her at first what her reasoning was for it.
Yeah.
And, again, by the end, she learns kind of that she wouldn't want to dissuade her from having that experience, even if it's heartbreaking in the end.
Causing immense pain. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I keep coming back to it, but I just thought that was such like a simple creative setup for this type of movie that I've seen plenty of times, good and bad. And
did you like that he could see her?
yeah, that's so the different levels of you know, time travelness or whatever is like, it's obviously not in her head because eventually someone else, Chad, can see the her older self.
Yeah, which I was like, what?
And that leads to the scene that I'm sure made you cry. It's pretty close to the end of the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Where Aubrey Plaza has to see the person that she fell in love with and had to grieve, you know, walking and talking and being his goofy young
I'm
self.
not crying again.
Yeah.
That'd be so sad.
That was like the emotional climax of the movie, and I thought it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
And then we get a voicemail that
I thought that
didn't
could have
need.
just ended.
Yeah, 100%.
And then like I'd been satisfied with the movie, done.
Yeah.
And then
it's
I
not
was
like
like,
the
oh,
movie
it's
was
still going.
long
No.
or boring.
No.
It's just that those were just scenes that weren't as good as the scenes but that were focused on the central, you know, relationship. Which I think I feel differently about her and her friends, but how did you feel about the brief, you know, kind of like time we spend with her best friends?
I think she'll outgrow them.
Oh, so you didn't like them?
No, they were okay. They were all right. I just don't know, like, I don't think I spent enough time with them to care about them. So like, they were fine.
It was actually kind of weird. So they start off in this like hectic or chaotic boat ride, and Elliot is like, she's probably
hitting every dock.
she's probably really good, but she's just like doesn't give a fuck, and so she's
Yeah.
just slamming into things or just like goofing off. And I thought some of their dialogue and their chemistry was really strong, naturalistic. It felt like they were really friends, but also it felt like they were a different generation than me. So it was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is a fun little window into their subculture.
It's also like small town boat life.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
different.
Yeah, the whole introduction to the setting and place felt very. This goes back to, I assume it was personal to the director, but maybe we're wrong. It felt very lived in and real, like in the details that were portrayed. So all of that totally worked. And then they go on the island or wherever they're camping, and each have completely separate trips.
Yeah,
Like there's no
they're
overlap,
not,
which
yeah.
I guess isn't like unusual for psychedelics. Like people can very much be in their own world. But it was almost like they weren't even available for filming, or so. I was like, they're just gonna like completely never show them again. Yeah. But they do, and one of my favorite moments was when it's like the day after, and her white friend
The bunny.
is like holding a bunny. Yeah, for some reason.
That was really cute. Yeah, I mean, they were cute. Like, they were fine. It's just she didn't spend a lot of time with them, which is okay. But I didn't not like them. I just wanted more time so I could, get more of an understanding. But I liked her Justin Bieber concert, which was really funny.
That was another highlight. Yeah,
So good.
She trips again to try to track down her older self, and basically, it's a Justin Bieber performance, but she's Bieber and she's like courting the girls in the audience. Like she always wanted to be Bieber, not be one of the girls that he gives a rose to.
Yeah, there's like a lot of like really like sneaky gems in this movie. They just like come out of nowhere and you're like, oh, I'm into it.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's another movie trope is like, oh, they go on the hallucinogenic drug trip and then there's some weird visuals. But this was didn't rely on like gimmicks like or tricks like that. It was the hook of the whole emotional storyline.
Yeah.
So like totally necessary to the plot, not just like something you throw into a hangover movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did promise my other favorite, little one-off scene, and I'm definitely not alone based on the internet here, was the Saoirse Ronan wall.
Yeah, the wall. Which is super unexpected. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so her little
Awesome.
brother is obsessed with Saoirse Ronan, and when she brings it up to, she's like trying to describe this like Irish actor to Chad, and Chad's like, "Oh yeah, Saoirse Ronan."
Duh.
Yeah, like everybody loves her. Haven't you seen Little Women?
Yeah.
Just those are like that detail. Not just because of the actor. Saoirse totally reminded me of how like specific and real the references from Lady Bird.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite recent coming of age, story that I can think of, which is the same time in someone's life where she's about to leave home, go up to college, has some romantic subplots with Timothy Chalamet and, and Lady Bird, but it's actually, about her and her mother's relationship in that movie. But just all the specific references that Greta Gerwig included in Lady Bird felt so like real, and I felt the same way in this movie.
Yeah, real and relatable, and it just, I really like these like low key like little indie movies. They're just like, I don't know, they're really nice.
The key is, I mean, in my opinion, it's not like I didn't need to have the same experience with Justin Bieber. I just need it to be the right level of specificity for something that I loved. Like, sure, in Time Cut, you can throw a million things at the wall, and one of them will be a Buffy poster.
Right.
But that just felt like complete, splatter painting, and this felt like, no, I mean, I'm gonna lean into my experiences because other people had equally niche interest that are of the same genre of interest, but not like they don't have to be the same interest.
Exactly.
So yeah, I loved all of that. I think. Oh yeah, I did have an image from the scene that made you cry. So one more.
Great. Can't wait. Get the tear ducts ready.
Yeah. Why every time I pull something up, it goes not where I expect. There we go.
Surprise. Oh yeah, that's so sweet.
Yeah, and so he's like staring at young Elliot while old Elliot is hugging him for a long time. They don't tell him, even though he can see her, like they have this funny exchange about that being her uncle.
Oh yeah, I like that.
And he's like, I've never met an uncle named Christine or whatever they say. It's just, he's like, what's going on here? But he's so sweet about it. And Aubrey Plaza doesn't want to let go, like literally.
Yeah.
But she has to. So yeah, that was absolutely the emotional kind of crescendo of the movie. One thing that I thought I noticed, and I mentioned earlier, is did you hear anything in the background, like when we get snippets into old Elliot's world? Did anything jump out at you?
I don't think I noticed anything, no.
I could have sworn I heard a siren.
Oh, I did. Okay, I did hear a siren once, but that couldn't have been like, well, I don't know.
Like go underground because it's about to
No, I was
rain
thinking like
acid or
she lives
something.
in like New York and it's like an ambulance going by her apartment.
I mean that's more
I was
realistic.
going for normal. I wasn't going for like.
Well, she comes back to when she sees Elliot in person, or she eats a bunch of weed, and that's when we see her like in the flesh in Elliot's world timeline. She's come from like a hippie wellness retreat.
Yeah.
So she's going. I mean, she is living like a normal-ish life, but I just thought it would have been really fun if they give you these like clues that the world is like falling apart or something like has drastically changed.
But would she not focus on that at all in her unveiling to her younger self?
I mean, it depends, I guess.
If you thought Chad passing away was bad, just you wait.
Yeah. I mean, well, everyone in this movie is like, young, like Gen Z age, so they are like, oh yeah, the world's gonna be burning, and
it's burning down anyway. So
she wouldn't be like shocked.
Yeah.
But
I
thought that was maybe a missed opportunity but it's just a minor.
Well, and I don't think it needs. because I don't know. I don't think it needed to happen.
No.
Ghost's future.
Just because I maybe misheard something, it got me thinking about.
Yeah. Well, I
something
heard the
they could have
ambulance
done.
too, but I had thought very logically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else? We have the gift shop.
Oh yeah. I have to burp. Excuse me.
Oh, nice.
Each week when we watch something new, we take something from it and we sell it in our gift shop. This week, we will sell
Advice?
fortune cookies.
Mushrooms?
Maybe mushrooms that make you see a different version of yourself. It doesn't have to be your younger self. It could be a surprise version. It's a different version of yourself in general, not necessarily your younger self. It could be like baby you. It could be like 85-year-old you, or maybe it's just someone, or it could be
the
someone,
substance.
Yeah. A little less graphic though.
Why did
You're
I
just
not
taking
even-
mushrooms?
This is basically just the substance. I didn't even
Indie
without the
substance?
body horror.
Yeah.
No, the premise of this movie, like
Yeah.
her younger self comes out of her.
That's true.
Or her older self. It's
older
it's
self
almost
comes
in
out of her younger-
reverse.
Uh-huh.
Like she gets context for her young self by getting in touch with her old self.
Yeah. Everything relates to the substance, basically. That's what we're learning. So
Pretty much. Yeah. Okay. Well, some kind of magic mushrooms. With all of our edible and experimental products, you'll find out when you take it.
Woo! Fun surprise.
Anything else you want to say about the movie before we look ahead?
No, I really liked it. Pleasantly surprised.
Oh, we didn't answer the key question.
What was the key question?
Do we want more?
Oh, shoot. Our whole premise, that.
Yeah. Oops.
I want more low-key time travel indie flicks.
Yeah, the one I was just thinking of when we were talking about the gift shop was the Paul Rudd one. It's not a time travel, but it was like he created another.
Oh, it's other
version.
versions of him?
Yeah.
I never
and had
watched
to-
it. Wasn't there like a billion versions of him, though? Like, it ended up being kind of crazy. Yeah.
Living with yourself, yeah.
Yeah, I never watched it.
Yeah. I just love the whatever you want to call this genre of movie where it's got like a sci-fi hook, but it's executed in just a naturalistic way.
Yeah.
So like Safety Not Guaranteed was a great reference. So we don't need to question any of the science or technology powering it. It just happened. The mind is a powerful, weird thing. So yeah, I'll take more like if we're gonna see movies like Time Cut remade every year for some reason.
Yeah.
Don't computer generate a bunch of dumb laser
Oh my
technology. Just come up with just make it a character study.
Yeah. Agreed.
And obviously we want more Percy Hines White. We want more. We didn't really talk much about Maisy Stella, but what did you think of
She was really
of her?
good.
Yeah.
She was like Florence Pugh. That's who she reminded me of.
Totally. Good Little Women. Call back there.
Good Little Women.
Yeah, no,
Little
she had the perfect, like, what everyone in their head kind of thinks of as this Gen Z archetype, sexuality, fluid, like
She was just like cool and chill and like
dresses sort
Yeah.
of like, in the middle of the spectrum, these big oversized t-shirts, perfect embodiment of that character.
Yeah, although I wanted more Aubrey Plaza, she was great young.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for my old ass. How about
Yep.
yours?
Same.
All right. Well, let's look ahead to next week.
Coming soon to home video.
All right. As promised, I do have
A
two
show?
shows.
Woo.
This one, you're not going to have much to go on unless you've heard of this book. But here's the first one. Describe it.
I can't. I'm not supposed to. It's called Say Nothing, based on the New York Times bestseller, which I've never heard of. So, crime drama thriller.
It is a murder show. It's
on Hulu. We'll
set
see what
in Ireland,
happens.
I think.
Is Ronan in it?
Yeah, I wish. I don't know any of the cast.
Cool.
So that's option number one.
Okay.
Let's give you one other show that is completely on the other end of the spectrum to
Cartoon?
compare it to here.
Oh. So this is Landman on Paramount. It seems like it's Joe Dirt mixed with Yellowstone.
Yellowstone for sure. It's not meant to be as cheesy as it looks.
Okay.
Billy Bob Thornton's in it. John Hamm's in it. Demi Moore.
Oh.
Ali Larder. So the cast on this movie
Okay. Some heavy hitters.
or this show is definitely expected to be.
I want to watch this based on the cast.
Okay. Yeah. I would say it's Yellowstone meets There Will Be Blood. Hopefully.
Oh, a little oil. Okay. Yeah. We'll see.
And
Maybe a little
I've never really
Fargo.
watched Yellowstone, but an oil soap opera. Good work.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in.
Okay, so Landman comes out on the 17th on Paramount Plus. So make sure you can find a way to access that. I wouldn't put the odds really high that I'm going to love it, but it's something. It's a TV show.
Yeah. It's a TV show.
All right, well that's it for this week of New Release. Thank you, Ashley,
You're
for
welcome.
taking us down memory lane. Thank you, listeners. Make sure to subscribe by searching New Release Radio on YouTube or New Release on Spotify or Apple. Ashley?
That's a nap. Good night, America.